Do you want an ambulance? Do you want to come down into this flat? We might have to get him an ambulance.
Every flat's occupied.
Have a good search, lads, because I know there's a family in that one on the left.
I've got an indicator in it that it's been Arson.
Arson is a deadly and growing problem for the firefighters of Humberside Fire and Rescue Service. Of their 22,000 emergency calls every year, almost 8,000 are to fires started deliberately. Vehicle fires account for 2,000 of those calls. Property arson is on the increase too. Public parks, rubbish fires, trees, they'll all burn and they're targets for the arsonist. It's late afternoon in Hull, and the team from Central Fire Station are called to a suspected arson attack on a warehouse. Fire is quickly spreading to the inner layer of the walls. The crew have just seconds in which to act. Inside the warehouse could be explosive cylinders and highly flammable liquids.
What you got in there?
They need to get firefighters inside to make 100% certain the fire hasn't spread. To do this, 28-year-old firefighter Matty Astrop oversees the breathing apparatus team.
First thing we're going to determine now is get a vehicle in and basically assess the situation from inside now.
Chris Smythe has been in the job for just over a year. He'll be one of the two-man teams going in to fight the fire.
There could be all sorts of toxic chemicals that would explode when they get hot. Yeah, drums, gas canisters, anything could be in there really. So yeah, it's quite a dangerous situation for anyone to be entering the building. Heavily smoke logged, so we're just going to start up and go and have a good look around really.
As they get closer, visibility will drop to almost zero. The fire will be the only light source to guide them through the thick and blinding smoke. Humberside Fire covers both sides of the river. There are over 200 firefighters currently on duty, and Scunthorpe Station in Lincolnshire is one of the busiest.
You're a fair ball match.
Nicky Moore has been in the job for 2 years. Another fire station has been called to an emergency, and they've been sent to provide temporary cover.
Well, we're on standby, so we're going to another station to cover their area.
But the fire crews they've been sent to cover need more resources.
We're going to a Dutch barn. It's on fire.
Nicky and the crew are no strangers to barn fires. They get plenty during the summer months. But this is midwinter, and barns burn very well when they're full.
There's a lot of straw. Yeah, that's the word. There's a lot of straw. I was going to say hay, but it doesn't sound very good in your Hull accent, does it? Hay.
From over a mile away, the orange glow can be seen clearly above the rooftops on the horizon. At the window factory fire, the team from Hull Central have the incident quickly under control. It was mainly wooden pallets piled against the outside walls that had caught fire. But to be sure, they're removing any charred wood and damping the whole area down. One of the workers, Brian, has his suspicions.
Some pallets are on the back way where we have cement where it's stored, and some kids have got through the back way and set the rubbish alight, which is up the side of the building. Just kids mucking about, being bored, pile of rubbish, set it alight.
The barn fire is enormous, and it's miles to an adequate water supply. The 300 gallons carried in each of the 4 engines won't be enough. They need hundreds of thousands. While one of the teams deals with a water shortage, Nicky surveys the area.
I think that's going like isn't it? Well, there's not much to salvage, to be honest. There's no livestock in there, it just all looks like straw. What are we doing then, Anne?
Just behind here, there's a lake reservoir where we're all stood out.
But just as they've sorted the water shortage by taking a feed from a nearby reservoir, they've another problem. The intense heat and burning embers from the stack have set fire to other buildings.
There's a covering jet in there. If you look through that door, it's spreading into this barn.
Right, OK.
Back from the factory fire, the heat is also on at Hull Central. There's disagreement between tonight's would-be chefs. Matty reckons he cooks most of the meals for himself and the other 12 firefighters. But Pete thinks otherwise.
I normally cook the suppers. 9 times out of 10.
You haven't seen in the kitchen while you've been here. Never.
Pete comes in and stares it, and maybe adds a bit of salt in it, and he takes all the acclaim for it.
It's a standing joke, getting a fire call at mealtimes, but that's firefighting. What seemed like a straightforward barn fire is becoming something of a headache. It's threatening to engulf the surrounding property, and nearly all the water from the engines has been used to cool the buildings most at risk. It's taken them 20 minutes to source sufficient water from a nearby reservoir. Now they can begin tackling the fire head-on.
Trying to salvage as much property as we can. Obviously the stack it's not worth saving.
Just here on the left tweet, it runs all the way through.
Matty and his crew have arrived at the van fire. It's standard practice for thieves to set fire to a vehicle they've broken into. It destroys the evidence. Extinguishing vehicle fires is risky work.
Check for cylinders in it, Andy. That's the sort of van that builders, people who tradesmen use. It's quite possible there could be welding cylinders, gas cylinders.
Everything in a car is quite flammable. When it takes hold, sometimes it takes a while to get going. Once it takes hold, they go quite well. So it's important to get here, and especially with a situation like this, could be carrying cylinders and all sorts in the back.
Senior officer Stuart Spence has arrived at the Scunthorpe barn fire. He's changing tactics and now plans to let the fire burn.
Check the structure. You see the steel glowing red, start cooling it down, but don't put the straw out. Forget it, you ain't going to put that out. All right, Bob. All right, let it go. Right. The priority is to protect the surrounding buildings. But once we start putting water onto straw, it'll just take ages and ages and ages to put out, so we might as well let it all go. Protect the structure, protect the surrounding structures, and that's the tactics that we're operating.
This might look spectacular, but Nikki and her crew see a dozen or more of these a year.
It's just like watching a bonfire, I suppose. Especially when you know that there's nothing you can do to salvage it.
Matty's crew have one more job to do before dinner.
Use a lot of water out of the tank, so someone who can replenish the tank is better, really. I mean, luckily we do get quite a lot of jobs down this little snicket, so I knew straight away there was an hydrant here. Get a lot of discarded needles in the hydrant bit, so got to be really careful about that. You know, it's easy to put your hand in and straight away, you know, you're putting yourself at risk.
Once the tank has been filled, it's back to the cooking and the banter that goes with it.
I just think you saturated them in fat, but these lads are happy with them, I won't even eat them.
We have conflicts of opinions, don't we, in cooking? You don't agree with baked beans and chili either, do you?
3 hours on and the barn is still burning strongly. By spraying 8,000 gallons of water every minute, any chance of the fire spreading has gone, but the danger hasn't. Burning bales are falling all around, and the crew need to watch out for one another.
It's going to fall. Get back, Jim!
Jim! Cool your hose and redeploy it!
The other on-duty crew in Scunthorpe have a rubbish fire to put out. It's arson again, and another one for the statistics. Andrew is 10 years old and lives nearby. He says he saw the arsonists, and he's clearly shaken by the experience.
I saw someone do it, but I didn't know their name. They said, well, if you try stop us, we'll batter you.
Finch's been fighting fires for 8 years. He's Scunthorpe born and bred and feels strongly about the arson problem.
There you go. So that,
Thank you.
that's a telephone number on there. If you call that number, then the police will take the names, right? And if their name keeps coming up, every time there's a fire, then they'll go around and pay him a visit, right? You won't be in trouble for doing it, and you might get a bravery medal.
Arson is a nuisance and takes resources that could be needed for life-saving emergencies. But sometimes that's exactly what they're trying to do.
Bedroom on fire.
Teams of 2 firefighters, kitted out with breathing apparatus, will search the burning flat inch by inch. They've all got families and responsibilities, but they're prepared to risk their life to save another.
Have a good search, lads, because I know there's a family in that one on the left.
They've no idea how far the fire has spread and must evacuate the entire block.
There's a fire upstairs, do you want to come down?
Take this with you, mate. All right. In you go.
That's the overall there.
Yeah, we've got quite a bit up here at the minute. So just have a really good check round. It's to the left, Matt, to the left.
The barn fire is now under control, but the last fire engine won't leave before morning. It's time for Nikki to call it a day.
Gonna go home, have my tea, then we're back again, aren't we, morning, so I think I'll have a bottle of wine tonight.
It's far from over in Hull, though. Matty and the 3 other firefighters are searching a flat in intense heat and utter darkness, using only their hands to find those thought to be inside. This looks like chaos, but they know exactly what they're doing. With years of experience searching in similar conditions, this becomes second nature to a firefighter.
You might try and get the other appliance in and a bit closer.
Firefighters from Hull Central are searching a flat overrun with flames and smoke. The occupiers are thought to be inside. They've been searching for several minutes.
Is he in residence? Is he still living there?
He's still in every flat's occupied here at the minute.
Right, okay.
The crews outside wait for news. The other team from Hull Central now have an emergency.
It's car fire.
Phil Binks has tackled dozens of car fires in his 11 years on the job. After all, they're called to over 2,000 every year.
If you get to the end, it's right then left.
I think it's rubbish, isn't it?
We've had rubbish behind that wall a few times, haven't we?
It's not a car fire, but somebody's old bathroom suite dumped and set on fire.
Whoever set it, if they just stood with it, we'd be able to leave it with them. That's what me off. Somebody, whoever set it just stood with it, it doesn't matter. We'll leave it and go to the next.
Officer in charge, Dave Bristow, has received a message on his two-way radio from the crew inside.
Our first priority is to make sure there's nobody inside. So we always assumed that there was somebody in there, and that was my first primary concern. The fire's been extinguished, and now they're going to make another thorough search, now the smoke layer's cleared.
While the search continues in one part of the flat, outside, the people who live here have turned up.
Take your mobile phone number because
Kelly and her boyfriend Cece returned home to find their flat was on fire and dialed 999. While the fire crew searched inside, expecting to find them overcome by smoke, they were standing in the street, safe.
We coming upstairs, we found wood on the floor from our door. My partner Cece pushed the door open, all smoke, flames coming out. He tried to go in with Kurt over his face, he couldn't. Just looking at it, wasn't in. He could have been in.
With the news that the occupants are safe and well, Matty's made a discovery that almost certainly points to arson.
Dave, on the bedspread,
Yes.
there's a can of petrol.
Right, just leave it there.
Left it as it is. That's near where the pillars are, that's where the seat is found.
Right, have you moved anything?
No, not right now.
You was the first crew in or second?
No, we was the second crew.
Across town, Phil and the team can now start tackling the rubbish fire.
somebody's ripped out a bathroom, altered a bathroom around this area, piled it all up there, and they set fire to it. And if they had the decency just to stand with it and say, all right, lads, yeah, sorry about just burning a bit of rubbish, we could go on to the next one, or we could be available for anything else. But instead, no, light it, off, it's not their concern. And that's how it is all the time. We're now stuck here, aren't we, putting out, and he's sat, oh, what are they doing? We're off the run now, we're not available for fire calls. So if we're really lucky, mate, sometimes they put cylinders on for us as well. One there lying next to the bonfire, look there.
It's a reminder of how dangerous firefighting can be, even putting out somebody's rubbish. They've had a spate of cylinders deliberately left on bonfires. So far, they've been lucky.
The kids have set a fire, chucked a lot of cylinders on, then just did it around, and then we just come around the corner, obviously start putting it out, and then you say, oh, there's a couple of cylinders here. You pull them out. You don't know, but that's how you do it. You don't know when you get till you get there.
Matty wants to show us what they found. A plastic petrol canister left on the couple's double bed.
It's a good indicator, isn't it, that it's been arson. Just purely by the heat that we was feeling in the kitchen trying to ventilate, it was quite hot. And as you can see from the damage, it's been a well-established fire, and it's heavily smoke logged. So it's quite severe damage, really.
Crew manager Dave Huzzard explains to Kelly and Cece the scale of the damage.
Lost everything. All his belongings. He's from like Afghanistan, so he's lost everything he's had.
Got all of my papers and all my home office paper in it.
Devastated. Absolutely devastated.
You talk about arson, obviously you've got your normal kids are like in wheelie bins, car fires and that, but when it comes to something like this, and the signs are that it has been arson, maybe somebody's got a grudge against these people, we don't know, that's something that I'm sure will come out eventually, but it's something to do it. You've got to really not like somebody, haven't you, really, because it's not nice at all.
Fire investigator Chris Blacksell needs to work out how the fire started.
Coming to do the sort of fire investigation, the lads have been have a look anyway.
His report is crucial to any criminal investigation.
Do you know if we'll be able to go and have a look, see if anything's left?
Yeah, you'll definitely be able to go and have a look. We'll just go and have a look at the scene first.
Matty and the others are driving the short distance back to station. They're taking the scenic route and enjoying a bit of attention from passers-by.
Listen to music. Smoke alarm was activated.
Chris Blacksell reckons it's pretty obvious how the fire started.
Yeah.
The presence of a half-melted petrol can speaks volumes.
Then we're looking at the possibility, obviously, that someone's come in and done it deliberately. The fact that we've got a petrol can left actually on the bed in the area where we've got main fire damage is going to be a little bit of a giveaway. But what I'm considering at the moment is whether that's been moved from a different place, whether it was exactly in that place. Possibly seeing a crams, maybe able to use it to get fingerprints off and that type of thing. So I'm going to leave that in pretty much in situ. So what I'll do is I'll take some photos of the scene as it stands and then draw some plans out. But it's been a problem that's been rising really year on year, which is obviously why we're trying to put the things in place that we've been trying to put to first stop the rise, and then once we've got a hold of that, ideally bring the levels of arson down, because it is something that's increasing nationally and in this brigade.
The police are now on the scene, and Chris needs to feed back his early findings.
Throughout, because the doors were left open, and we've got a petrol can left on the bed at the moment, which we may have moved slightly, but no one certainly handled it, so we then gone into the bedroom. So.
Okay. Right, okay.
Matty and the rest of the watch from Central have been called to a block of flats. Someone has reported seeing smoke coming from the 4th floor, but they've no flat number.
Somebody said there's a smell of smoke in block 1. You've not rung it in yourselves, have you?
Dave Bristow, officer in charge, leads the team. A fire in a high-rise is a firefighter's worst nightmare. The potential for loss of life is immense, and that's why they've turned out in numbers.
Just send an informative, please. Investigating smell of smoke on the 4th floor. Yeah. Hello?
Hello?
Anybody in?
The occupier's electricity has been cut off. He's been trying to keep warm, and his desperate measures could have put his own life and dozens of others living in the block at risk.
He's run out of money. So to provide himself with some heat and a means of being able to cook his food, he's been burning wood on an electrical stove.
This could have been horrific, and the fact that he's living in such conditions is a shock to Pete Sissons.
You can't believe that this day and age that people are living like this. Potential's here for a fatal fire, definitely. Definitely, no two ways about it. And it's not just the one flat. You're in a block of flats like this. It's so dangerous, so dangerous.
Across town, Chris has been looking at all the evidence. It's definitely arson, and it'll be up to the police to decide who the arsonist might be.
So literally I've left it as I found it, really. I mean, we've got the obvious petrol can on the bed. We've gone through the obvious channels of asking if that's, you know, if it was in the room anyway.
You often run out of electricity then?
No, it's first
time we've done it. You've used all your emergency up and that.
Yeah.
Residents on the 4th floor, where a man has been burning wood to keep warm, are shaken by the incident. Next-door neighbour Eric is obviously distressed.
And master what's going like this now.
If you get a bit chesty, you're probably best off going back in your flat and getting yourself some fresh air, because it's still a bit smoky down there.
We have a fan now. Go back to the house.
What we do with your chest then?
I have cancer and all that, and everything. And I'm a sick man. I live on my own.
Well, that's it,
And I'm frightened. It's upset me.
You get payday tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Thanks, Paul. What I've done is I've rung our control room. Okay, and they're going to get, we have an organisation called Fire Victim Support. They're going to come out, or they're going to request them to come out. We might be able to provide you with a card or something to get electricity go up and running.
You sit yourself down. I'll get you a drink of water, alright? Just keep taking deep breaths. Do you feel like this normally? Does this happen to you regular, or is it just because of what's happened now?
This is what's happened now.
Right. Do you want an ambulance?
Yeah, I can't. I'm in bed.
Go ahead. Yeah, do you want to come down into this flat? The elderly gentleman's not feeling well at all. I think we might have to get him an ambulance.
You can come back in now. There you go, man, there you go. Okay, don't be lighting any more fires, though, will you? No, alright.
Yeah, he's had no electric since Saturday, so he's been sat in there freezing. There's nothing to cook with, so he's just lit a little fire on his stove to cook his tomatoes with, so bless him.
The price.
You what, Eric?
It was a price.
Yeah, I know, it gets to you, doesn't it? But you're best off to be safe than sorry.
Eric was checked over by a doctor at the hospital and later returned home.
I don't know what time will be here, I can't really give you time, but there will be here.
And next door's electricity was switched back on.
Alright, look after yourself. It does. I won't say upset, yeah, but it makes you think, I'd say. It's not very nice, is it, if you're sat in the cold and in the dark. It's not much of a quality of life for him.